So I feel like this is right on rhythm, but there are good days and bad days. There are definitely on this entrepreneur journey. There are times you feel really excited, and there's like things that are just giving you tons and tons of energy to continue to move forward and to push through the obstacles and whatnot. And then there are other days that are extremely taxing. I think I came out of the last, like from Thursday to Sunday for me was pretty brutal. And as I mentioned, I was also sick on top of that. So there's just a lot of stuff that was weighing on me. And I had just kind of started to go down in one of those dips of like fear and doubting and questioning what we're doing and where we're heading and all that. And I want to talk about the importance of action or just activity in entrepreneurship or when you are pursuing your passion. And I actually spoke with Pat about this as well. That there's kind of everybody goes through periods of feeling really good about things and then other periods of having a lot of concern or doubt or wondering if you're the right person for the job or whatever it is. But something that I have realized lately is that when you are in those moments of I don't want to call it depression, but I can't think of anything else to call it. But when you're in those moments of low energy or just like desolation, what I always think is to ask yourself and try and step outside of the situation that you're in and find out what is it about that situation that is causing you to have low energy, a lack of enthusiasm on where you're heading, and what can you do about that? And I guess the best example that I can give is to talk about my own, like just basically the last week or two. But I had been going very, very aggressively in cold calls and was doing super, super well in that, and just getting my daily recipe done. And last week, there was just a period of like, I just felt like I wasn't, stuff was not progressing as well as I wanted it to, and was starting to kind of lose hope or lose sight of where we're heading as a company. And one of the things that I realized was I was starting to lose traction and energy because I hadn't reached out to anybody. I hadn't, it had been a long time since I had gone to networking events or other business or technology events. Conferences are good things. Reaching out, going to coffee, just meeting with other energetic, young, like minds and people that are trying to do things and create businesses and have ambition and dreams and goals and that sort of thing. So about 2 weeks ago, I reached out and I decided to volunteer for the Bend Design Conference. And I also decided to volunteer for the Bend Venture Conference. And I'm going to get to why that's important in just a second. But today I had a meeting with the founder of a software startup that's in the dental space and doing some really exciting stuff. And there's actually an opportunity for us to potentially be assisting or partnering in some way with each other's businesses. But I went to lunch and it was supposed to be an hour-long meeting. I ended up talking to this guy for nearly 3 hours. And then I find out at the end of the meeting that he is going to the conference that our business is going to as well down in San Francisco. And it was crazy because the whole time I was talking to him, I felt like his company name was very familiar to me, but I couldn't remember why. Turns out that his company is going to this conference. We are booth 2001 and his company is booth 2002. And we are both startup companies in the dental space. They're operating out of Bend. We're out of Redmond, like 20 miles apart. And just had this fantastic conversation, tons of energy, lots of excitement about what they're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. And the reason that meeting happened was because 2 weeks ago, when I identified that I was not in getting myself involved in the community as much as I should. I hadn't been going to coffee and meeting with people on a regular basis. It had just been probably close to a month or a month and a half that I had reached outside of my existing group of connections. And so when I went to volunteer for the Bend Venture Conference, I met a gentleman there who was leading all of the volunteers, and I told him what our business was all about, and that we're an oral surgery branding and marketing company. And he mentioned that he knew another person that was in the dental space who happened to be right here in Bend, who was working on this software. And so he connected me with him last Thursday. I reached out to this guy, go to lunch today, and just lots of good things happening. But then you take a step back and say, so how did I figure out about the Bend Venture Conference, or why did I decide to go do that? And that's because I met and actually heard a number of people talk about that, but I went to the EDCO talk, which was an event here, the Economic Development for Central Oregon is EDCO. And I decided to go to that 2 weeks ago because another friend of mine had told me about that several months ago, and I finally went to that. And then I had another connection from being involved in this group in Portland called Brothers in Christ. And so I had met several business owners from that group, one of which is actually an investor for the Bend Venture Conference, and he had told me about that. And I guess the point that I want to make with all of this is that there's a lot of, like, it might be hard to follow this story, it might be hard to understand how all the pieces fit together. But I think the most important thing that I like, just some very practical and easy advice. There's lots of other advice that I could give that's much more execution focused and just requires a lot of like know-how or business savvy to accomplish a number of things as you're growing a business. But I just firmly believe that if you're confident and excited about the path that you're going on, the one thing that is going to take you to more places than anything else is just doing something. And I know that sounds very revolutionary, but I truly mean, like, if you are pursuing a career in art and you want to do painting, it's like go to meetup.com and meet other painters, or go to call up the Portland Art Institute and find out if they have any like co-op groups. If you're a musician, like reach out to other musicians in the area and continue to do that. Have that, like, work that in as part of your schedule. If you want to, if you're in an entrepreneur situation, you're starting a business, like what are you doing on a regular basis to just have like cause activity around what you're doing? Reaching out to other people, rubbing elbows, bumping into people, that is such a critical piece to building anything. And I feel like there's so much chance that happens, and just like people, you meet someone's like, oh my gosh, what are the chances of running into someone who does dental software right here in Bend? It's like the chances are actually pretty high for these random occurring things, I believe, because it's sort of like you could be driving to work every day and all of a sudden you notice that there's this company and you're seeing their logo all over the place. The company had been there the whole time, but the only reason that you're now aware of it is because you're looking for it. It's the same thing regardless of what it is that you're passionate about. When you start going out and telling people your story and talking about what you're doing, everybody, like, you're going to run into people that know other people that you should be talking to. And if you're in a period of desolation and just doubt and struggle and frustration, I would challenge you to ask yourself, are you feeling that even with doing a bunch of like active things, going and networking and meeting people and talking to people? And if you're feeling that desolation while doing that consistently, then I would say you probably could give that some more credit or weight in if you're trying to make a decision. But if you're basically sitting at your house and you rarely reach out to anybody, you're not telling anybody what you're doing, you're not making videos, you're not making content, and you're just sitting at home thinking about how miserable your life is and how you're never going to accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, obviously you're going to have terrible chances of succeeding because nobody knows about it. Like nobody can do anything for you if you're not taking action. So that's my one piece of advice. Something that even if you're not in like a desolate period, I just believe it's a huge, huge thing to constantly be doing something just that involves interaction, some sort of activity. When you don't know what to do, pick up the phone and call somebody and ask them to go to coffee with you. Like just be bold in what you're asking for and start networking and talking to people because there's nothing that like you have nothing to lose and you should be dedicating an hour at least a week to meeting somebody new that's in your space that you have never met before. So that's what I'm excited about. I leave tomorrow morning for AAOMS, and I'm excited for the conference. There'll be a lot of stuff down there that we're looking forward to, but I'll be in touch and looking forward to sharing some more videos. Thanks.